If you're over 75 and feel like your strength isn't what it used to be, you're not alone. Many older adults notice that standing up feels harder, walking feels slower, and balance doesn't feel as reliable as it once did. Most people assume this weakness is simply part of aging. They tell themselves, "This is normal, my body is wearing out, there's nothing I can really do." But after more than 40 years working with older patients in orthopedic care, I've seen something very different. Muscle loss after 75 is not always caused by age itself. In many cases, it's caused by nutrition no longer working the way it used to. The foods that supported strength at 50 or 60 don't always behave the same way in the body after 75, and protein is where this change matters most. For decades, eggs were promoted as the ideal protein for older adults. They're affordable, familiar, and easy to prepare. And for many people, eggs still have a place in a balanced diet. But aging changes digestion in quiet ways most people never notice. Stomach acid gradually decreases, digestive enzymes slow down, and muscles become less responsive to protein signals. So even if you're eating enough protein on paper, your body may not be using it efficiently. Doctors often refer to this as protein resistance. It doesn't mean protein stops working. It means your muscles now need protein that's easier to digest, easier to absorb, and easier to use. At the same time, appetite often declines with age. Meals become smaller without much thought. Protein intake slowly drops, sometimes without anyone realizing it. This combination can quietly accelerate muscle loss, balance problems, and fatigue. But here's the important part. Not all protein behaves the same way in an aging body. Some foods are already partially broken down before you eat them. These foods can place less stress on digestion while delivering usable amino acids more efficiently. That's where certain cheeses come into the conversation. Cheeses that are aged, fermented, or cultured go through natural processes that break proteins into smaller components. For older adults, this can make a meaningful difference in how the body absorbs and uses protein. Some cheeses also contain nutrients that support muscle function, energy production, and recovery, areas that naturally decline with age. This doesn't mean cheese is a miracle food, and it doesn't mean eggs are bad. It means that after 75, the question isn't just how much protein you eat, it's how well your body can actually use it. In the next part of this video, we'll walk through several cheeses that older adults often find easier to tolerate, easier to digest, and easier to incorporate into daily meals. They'll be ranked from mild support to stronger support based on how they're processed and how they're commonly used by seniors. Nothing here replaces medical advice, and everyone's body is different. But understanding how protein changes with age gives you more control than you may realize. Because aging doesn't automatically mean losing strength. Sometimes it just means adjusting what you give your body so it can keep doing what it was designed to do.
Now that you understand why protein works differently after 75, let's look at the first cheese older adults often overlook. This one isn't flashy, it's not trendy, but it quietly supports muscles in ways many people don't expect. Cheese number 5 is Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese is naturally fermented, which means part of the protein is already broken down before you eat it. For older adults, this can make digestion easier and absorption more efficient. An ounce of Swiss cheese provides a solid amount of complete protein, along with calcium that supports muscle contraction and balance. But what makes Swiss cheese especially interesting is how it's made. During fermentation, specific bacteria create compounds that may help muscles respond better to protein signals. For aging muscles that don't respond as strongly as they once did, this matters. Swiss cheese also contains vitamin K2, a nutrient involved in bone and muscle coordination. As people age, low K2 levels are often linked with weakness and instability. Another advantage is texture. Swiss cheese is softer and easier to chew than many other protein sources, which matters more than people realize. If chewing feels like work, protein intake usually drops. Many older adults tolerate Swiss cheese well when it's eaten at room temperature rather than straight from the refrigerator. Cold foods can slow digestion slightly, while room temperature cheese is often easier on the stomach. Swiss cheese also pairs well with simple foods like whole grain bread or vegetables, making it easy to include in regular meals without changing eating habits. Now let's move to cheese number 4, ricotta cheese. Ricotta is different from most cheeses because it's made from whey, the liquid portion left over during cheese production. Whey protein is known for being fast and easy to digest. For older adults, ricotta provides protein in a softer, lighter form that doesn't sit heavily in the stomach. This makes it a common choice for people who feel full quickly or experience discomfort after meals. Ricotta contains all essential amino acids, including leucine, which plays a key role in signaling muscles to maintain strength. As people age, muscles often require a clearer signal to respond, and leucine helps provide that. Another benefit of ricotta is versatility. It can be eaten sweet or savory, warm or cold, and blended into meals without much effort. That flexibility makes consistency easier. Some older adults find ricotta works well earlier in the day when digestion tends to be stronger. Starting the day with a protein source can help slow muscle breakdown that naturally occurs overnight. Whole milk ricotta is often better tolerated than low-fat versions because natural fats help slow digestion slightly and support nutrient absorption. Like Swiss cheese, ricotta is not a cure and not a replacement for medical care. But as part of a balanced diet, it can make protein intake more manageable after 75. The key idea here isn't that one food fixes everything. It's that certain foods work with the aging body instead of against it. As we continue, the next cheeses on this list are more aged, more concentrated, and often used in smaller amounts, yet they may provide stronger support per bite. In the next section, we'll talk about a cheese that many people sprinkle on food without realizing how powerful it can be for aging muscles.
Now let's move to cheese number 3. This is one most people already use, but usually in very small amounts, without realizing how different it becomes as it ages. Cheese number 3 is Parmesan cheese, specifically long-aged Parmesan. Parmesan is not just another hard cheese. It goes through an extended aging process that can last 2 years or more. During this time, natural enzymes slowly break proteins into much smaller pieces. For older adults, this matters. As digestion slows with age, large protein molecules can be harder to process. But the proteins in aged Parmesan are already partially broken down before you eat them. That means less work for the stomach and easier absorption in the gut. This is one reason Parmesan is often well tolerated even by people who struggle with other protein sources. Parmesan is also highly concentrated. A small serving contains a meaningful amount of protein, along with calcium and phosphorus that support muscle contraction and movement. Because it's dense, you don't need to eat much. Just a small portion can add nutritional value to a meal without increasing volume. This can be helpful for older adults who feel full quickly or don't have much appetite. Another advantage of Parmesan is how it's commonly used. It's usually added to warm foods like vegetables, soups, or grains. This makes it easier to include protein without changing eating habits or meal routines. Grating Parmesan fresh is often recommended because pre-grated versions are more processed and may lose some of their natural qualities over time. Many people notice that aged Parmesan has a slightly crunchy texture. Those tiny crystals are formed during aging and are made of amino acids and minerals. For older adults, these crystals can be easier to absorb because they dissolve quickly during digestion. Parmesan also contains compounds that contribute to flavor satisfaction. This can help people feel more satisfied with smaller portions of food, which indirectly supports consistent eating. Consistency matters more than perfection. A food that's eaten regularly in small amounts often provides more benefit than a perfect food that's eaten once in a while. Parmesan fits easily into daily meals without requiring effort or preparation. That's why it often becomes a quiet but reliable source of protein for older adults. As always, this isn't about replacing other foods or making extreme changes. It's about choosing options that work better with the body you have now, not the body you had decades ago. Next, we'll move to a cheese that works differently from all the others so far. Instead of acting quickly, it releases protein slowly over time. And for older adults, that slow release may be especially helpful during sleep. That brings us to cheese number 2.
Now let's move to cheese number 2. This one works differently from the others we've talked about so far. Cheese number 2 is cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is rich in a type of protein called casein. Unlike faster digesting proteins, casein breaks down slowly in the body. For older adults, this slow release can be very useful. Instead of delivering protein all at once, casein provides a steady supply of amino acids over several hours. This helps support muscles during longer periods without food. One of those periods is sleep. During the night, the body naturally goes many hours without eating. For older adults, this can contribute to muscle breakdown. Because casein digests slowly, cottage cheese is often used in the evening to help provide protein while the body rests. This doesn't mean it builds muscle overnight, but it may help reduce the amount of muscle breakdown that happens during long fasting periods. Cottage cheese is also relatively soft and high in moisture, which many people find easier to eat and digest. It contains calcium and B vitamins that support muscle function and energy use. Another advantage is portion size. A single serving provides a meaningful amount of protein without requiring a large meal. This is helpful for older adults who feel full quickly. Cottage cheese can be eaten on its own or combined with simple foods like fruit, nuts, or whole grains. This flexibility makes it easier to include regularly. Consistency is especially important with slower digesting proteins. Small, regular servings tend to work better than occasional large amounts. Some people prefer cottage cheese earlier in the evening, while others tolerate it closer to bedtime. There's no single correct time. Comfort and routine matter most. Choosing versions with live cultures may also support digestion for some individuals. As with every food discussed here, cottage cheese isn't for everyone. Lactose tolerance, personal preference, and individual digestion all play a role. But for many older adults, cottage cheese offers a practical way to support protein intake without stressing digestion. Now we've reached the final cheese on this list. This one is used in small amounts, often combined with vegetables, and has been part of traditional diets for generations. It's also the cheese most associated with long-term eating patterns rather than short-term changes. That brings us to cheese number 1.
Now we've reached cheese number 1. This is the cheese most often eaten in small amounts, usually alongside vegetables or simple meals. Cheese number 1 is traditional feta cheese. Feta is typically made from sheep's milk or a blend of sheep's and goat's milk. This gives it a protein structure that some people find easier to digest than cow's milk cheeses. Feta is also naturally fermented. Fermentation breaks down proteins and creates beneficial compounds that can make nutrients more accessible during digestion. For older adults, this can reduce digestive strain while still providing usable protein. Feta is usually eaten crumbled rather than in large slices. That means smaller portions spread across meals, which can help with tolerance and consistency. It also pairs well with vegetables, olive oil, and grains, foods commonly found in long-standing eating traditions. Another advantage of feta is flavor. Its strong taste allows a small amount to go a long way. This can help make meals more enjoyable, which matters more than people realize as appetite changes with age. Feta also contains calcium and minerals that support muscle contraction and movement. Because it's often eaten as part of balanced meals, feta tends to support protein intake without requiring major dietary changes. At this point, it's important to pause and put everything in perspective. This video isn't about replacing one food with another, and it's not about chasing perfect nutrition. After 75, the goal is often to make eating easier, more consistent, and better tolerated. Protein still matters, but how your body handles protein matters just as much. Eggs, meats, and plant proteins can still be part of a healthy diet. The cheeses discussed here are simply options that some older adults find easier to use. The best choice is always the one your body tolerates well and that you can eat regularly. Small, steady changes often make a bigger difference than dramatic overhauls. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing for more clear, practical discussions about nutrition and aging. And if you'd like, leave a comment sharing which foods feel easiest for you to eat right now. Understanding your body doesn't mean giving up. It means working with what you have, so you can keep moving, staying active, and living independently as long as possible. Thanks for watching.